On the very top, let's all write out 30, 60, 90. Actually, let's start with 45, 45, 90. We have 45, 45, 90. And there's a ratio that I want you to memorize at all times, as long as I give you an isosceles right triangle. And that is 1, 1, root 2. And that basically is telling us the leg, got it, is 1. The other leg is also 1. Does it make sense why the two legs are congruent? Because 45, 45 means we have an isosceles, meaning that legs must be the same. And then we have the hypotenuse. Do memorize 1, 1, root 2. I think we can memorize that no problem. Okay? So let's actually apply this on example number 1. On example number 1, it says to find AC and BC. Which one do I automatically know right off the bat? If I know AB is 5, then don't I already know BC is also 5? It's kind of given to you, huh? So the only location that we need to actually need work is our AC. So here's my X. And you must write out a proportion on every single one of these. So my unknown X over the given 5. All right, here's how you use the 45, 45, 90 ratio. My X is opposite of 90. Do we all agree on that? Yeah. What number do I have below the 90 here? Radical 2. The 5 is opposite of 45. What number do I have on the opposite of 45 here? 1. So they need a match. So then from here we are going to cross multiply. X times 1 is X. 5 radical 2 is simply 5 radical 2. Can I further simplify the radical 2? No, it's a prime number. So we know our final answer for AC has to be 5 radical 2. That's simple. So always have this memorized, ready to go when you're making your proportions. So with the partner, let's try example number 2. Go. And I'll go over it thoroughly.
Wait, is it 3?
Okay, so we need X right here and X right there.
Oh, wait, no, that's wait, hold up.
Gotta go. Take the pass with you. Pass right there. By the light. By the light. Exit door.
If I give you my phone, I'll do my password. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. I'll tell you. No, you won't.
I don't know. You know, I'm trying.
I'm kind of glad he said no. He probably would have gone to the ship.
Well, maybe the X goes on top.
Are you actually finding two different answers here? No. We're finding the same leg. So here's my initial proportion. We have X over 3 radical 2. At least we have that down, right? Yes? So let's look at the X. Jack. My X is opposite of 45. What number is opposite of 45? 1. 3 radical 2 is opposite of 90. What number goes with 90 degrees? Radical 2. And then we are going to cross multiply. When I cross multiply, we have X radical 2 is equal to 3 radical 2. Now we're solving for X. So we need to divide it by what is next to the X. The radical 2. So that gets eliminated. So my X equals. Does that also get eliminated? When I have an identical piece on the top with the exact same identical piece on the bottom, that goes away. So here I have 3.
I just did it different.
That's okay.
I just like dissected it like how we did before.
It works out.
Technically, it's the same.
It doesn't work always that way because in this, for example 3, it's going to kind of describe that piece. All right, on example 3, let's go over this one together. Which piece can I automatically answer, the MN or NP? Because we have an isosceles triangle, we can have MN, not NP yet. So here I have 5 radical 2. So when the free piece is given to you, just take it. That could happen on the quiz. It could happen on the homework or the test. All right, my variable is going to go into NP. So let's make our proportion. X over 5 radical 2. My x is opposite of what angle? 90. So when I go to my ratio, what number is opposite of the 90? Radical 2. 5 radical 2 is opposite of 45. Looking at the ratio on the top, what number do I need? 1. And then we need to cross multiply. When I do, we get x times 1 is x, which is fine. For the next piece, I'm going to write out side by side. I see 5 radical 2, and I see another radical 2. From Wednesday, what was the rule when I had the exact same pair that is identical inside the radical? It comes out as one number as 2. So it is 5 times 2. Now, some of you guys might say, can I multiply and get radical 4? And radical 4 is a perfect square of 2. Same thing. We still get 2. So we know our final answer has to be 10. So I always have the proportion on almost every single one of them. Okay? So we have a second special right triangle on the back. We're not doing number 4. It's redundant. All right. On the very top, I want you to write out 30, 60, 90. And again, you must memorize the ratios. The numbers are 1, root 3, and 2. On the other ratio, the 2 had the radical. This one has 3 as a radical. Okay? So be really careful. And 90 is a hypotenuse, obviously. The 30 degrees is smaller than 60, meaning 30 is my short leg. Then what kind of leg would the 60 be? The longer leg. Because we don't have an isosceles triangle, we have 2 legs of different sizes. So let's apply that on the first one. It says to find KL. Put an X. So our proportion says X over 4. So X is opposite of what angle we have on this picture? 60. So what number is on the 60? Radical 3. And then 4 is on the opposite of 30. So what number do I need from the ratio? 1. And then we cross multiply. So I have x times 1 is x, 4 radical 3. Can I further simplify the radical 3? No. Now, if you can, please do, because sometimes a number might be a little bit bigger depending on the given information. Are we good with that one? Okay, let's do example 6 together also. And I'm going to actually give you a trick on this one. Do you want to find the hypotenuse first or the short leg? Short leg, okay. I'm going to call that x. You can find the hypotenuse first if you want it, because the idea is still the same. So let's put in x over 2 radical 3. Now go to your ratio. X is opposite of 30. What number goes with 30? 1. 2 radical 3 is 60. What number goes with 60? Radical 3. And let's go ahead and cross multiply. So we get x root 3 is equal to 2 root 3. And we need the x by itself. So I need to divide it by what on both sides? Root 3. And we know the identical pieces cancel on the top and the bottom. So we know our x must be 2. All right, so I'm going to give you a trick on the next piece. If you want to make another proportion for the hypotenuse, by all means go for it. But I'm going to give you a shortcut. Are we all ready? Thumbs up. Here's my shortcut. Listen carefully. If you look at the short leg versus the hypotenuse, isn't that 1:2 ratio? So if I know the shorter leg, I multiply by 2. If I know the longer leg, as in the hypotenuse, you divide it by 2. Do we see that? So in this case, if I know this x is 2, and I know the short leg to the hypotenuse 2:1 ratio or 1:2 ratio, what must be the hypotenuse? Done. That's it. If you want to set up the proportion by setting that variable to y, go for it, but we'll get the exact same answer. Is everyone good with that? Okay? Just multiply by 2 or divide it by 2, depending on which direction. So, with the partner, let's do example number 7. And I'm going to put a big fat star on this one. Whoa. You'll see this again. whatever that means. Okay, hint number 1. If all sides of that big triangle is 4, it is what kind of triangle? Equilateral. If I have an equilateral triangle, all the angles are how many degrees? 60. Start with that. Fill it in. Ooh. What would the altitude do to the angle? It will bisect the angle. So here you have 30, 60, 90. Welcome back.
She thinks that she needs to social.
She's like, not like, more than 30 minutes. You have to go back.
If we don't show up to class or mark us, then
Here's our final answer. If you're like, hey, I'm done, I want to check, but I will show the process. 2 radical 3 would be the value of the h, which is the altitude. So let's write out the proportion. Could I write out h over 4 or h over 2, since that's half of it? Yeah, that's completely up to you. If you use h over 2, our ratio is not going to be identical. So I'm going to stick with the 4 for now. My h is opposite of 60. Looking at your ratio, what number is on the 60? Root 3. My 4 is opposite of the 90. What number is on the opposite of 90 on the ratio? 2. And let's cross multiply. So we have 2h is equal to 4 radical 3. And I need to make h by itself by dividing by what number? 2. So we know that goes away. Don't we know 4 divided by 2 can be further simplified? Hence, 2 radical 3. Did y'all put stars on number 7?
yes.
For sure? All right. Let's go on to our last problem, number 8. On number 8, should we find the hypotenuse or the short leg? Short leg? Okay. You can find the hypotenuse first if you want. Doesn't matter. So here's my ratio. X over 9. My x is opposite of 30. What number goes with 30 on the ratio on the top? 1. 9 is opposite of 60. What number is on the 60? Radical 3. And then we are going to cross multiply. Some people are not writing. Good luck to you. X root 3 is equal to 9. And we're going to divide it by root 3. So I have x equals 9 over root 3. And that is not correct. Meaning I'm not done all the way. Why is that the case? You can't have a radical on the bottom. What was the word? We need to rationalize. So that gives me, on the bottom, can I automatically say we have a 3 on the bottom? And then I have 9 radical 3. But then we know 9 over 3 is our whole number that could be further simplified, which is how many? 3 radical 3. So we have 3 radical 3. So now let's look at the ratio. When I compare 1 to 2 or 2 to 1. I know I have 30 degrees. So whatever I get, I need to multiply by 2. So if I take 3 radical 3 and multiply by 2, what do I get? 6 radical 3. Because when I'm multiplying by 2, 2 is a whole number. 2 is not a radical. Leave that radical alone. Okay?